Good morning, students. Today we'll start with the new chapter, that is fuel, combustion and flame. When we say fuel, what is fuel? Fuel is the source of energy, and to obtain this energy we have to burn the fuel. Okay, so what is fuel? It is a source of energy. Fuel is a source of energy, and if we have to obtain that heat energy, we have to burn it. So, and burning is a process of rapid oxidation, and most of the substances are made up of carbon and hydrogen. And when any substance burns, you all know that it produces heat and light. So all combustible substances cannot be called fuels. Now, what is combustible? What do you mean by combustible? Combustible substance means a substance which can burn. Combustion means burning. Okay, so a combustible substance is a substance which can burn. So all this combustible substance cannot be called as fuels. We can classify fuels in two ways. One is on the basis of their physical state, and secondly on the basis of their occurrence. Now, on the basis of physical state of fuels, they are generally classified as solid fuels, liquid fuels and gaseous fuels. What are solid fuels? Solid fuels are like, for example, wood, animal dung cakes, agricultural waste. They all are solid fuels, and all these are especially in rural areas, people use animal dung cakes and the agricultural waste. What are the fuels in liquid fuels? Liquid fuels include like kerosene, petrol. All these are liquid fuel. Okay, kerosene oil is the most popular liquid fuel. Then what about gaseous fuel? Gaseous fuel include natural gas. Natural gas is a gaseous fuel. Then biogas is a gaseous fuel. But what happens, children, is that when we burn these fuels can result in atmospheric pollution. That also you all know quite well. So we have to reduce the burning of the fuels. The fuels which are produced from the remains of plants and animals, which are buried under the earth millions of years ago, they are called as fossil fuels. About fossil fuels we will study in the later on chapter. There is a chapter of coal petroleum. Okay, we will study about fossil fuels in that chapter in detail. But for the time being, you should know that what are fossil fuels, simply the definition. So what is fossil fuel? Fossil fuel is produced by the remains of plants and animals which are buried under the earth millions of years ago. And what are the example of fossil fuels? The examples of fossil fuels are coal, petroleum, natural gas. Okay, all these are examples of fossil fuels. Now we move on to the calorific value of fuel. What is calorific value? Calorific value is the amount of heat energy produced when 1 kilogram of fuel is completely burnt in the presence of pure oxygen. Clear? When we burn any kind of fuel, that is 1 kg of fuel in the presence of pure oxygen, when it is the amount of heat produced, that is called as the calorific value of a fuel. And calorific value is expressed in kilojoules per gram, kJ per G. Okay, kilojoules per gram. Here, see children, in the table there are some calorific value of some common solids, liquids and gaseous fuels are given. Like, for example, biogas. Biogas is found in gaseous state. Okay, and the calorific value is between 35 to 40 kilojoules per gram. Then coal is a solid fuel. What is the calorific value? It is 25 to 33, between 25 to 33 kilojoules per gram. So in this table you have got most of the fuels and the state and their calorific value. Higher the calorific value, that means that fuel has got high efficiency. Okay, it is the best. That means if the calorific value is there, it will burn completely, and when it burns completely, it will not pollute the environment. So which is the fuel which has got the highest calorific value? You can see here, it is hydrogen. Hydrogen is the fuel. The calorific value is 150 kilojoules per gram. So this has got the highest calorific value. Okay, children. Then there is here difference between smokeless chulha and traditional chulha is given. What is a smokeless chulha? See, this is a smokeless chulha. A smokeless chulha consists of a chimney. So when a smokeless chulha consists of a chimney, what will it do? All the smoke will go out through the chimney. It will not come in contact with the person who is using it. Okay. Whereas in the traditional chulha, it emits a lot of smoke, which will cause pollution and health problems like many of the respiratory diseases. So smokeless chulha is far better as compared to traditional chulha. Even the smokeless chulha, the combustion of fuel is complete. Combustion means burning. The fuel burns completely. It has got a tall chimney, and just now as I told you, it does not emit smoke and soot. Whereas the traditional chulha, it does not have a chimney. The combustion is also incomplete. Okay, it does not burn completely. So it will produce a lot of smoke. Now after calorific value, we will move on to the ignition temperature of a fuel. What is ignition temperature? Ignition temperature is the minimum temperature at which a fuel catches fire. Okay, anything. You must have burnt a paper. Have you noticed that the paper, as soon as you bring a lighting matchstick, it starts burning immediately. So it has got a low ignition point. Okay, जितना ignition point low होगा, उतनी जल्दी combustion होगा. Okay, the lower the ignition temperature, that fuel will catch fire very easily. And what are the examples of fuel which have got very low ignition temperature? For example, LPG. What is the full form of LPG, children? You all have reached in class 8. I hope that you know the full form of LPG. Find out all of you. Whenever I take the live class, I'll ask you what is the full form of LPG. Then petrol. You know petrol, how easily it catches. It is highly inflammable. Alcohol. So all these have got very low ignition temperature. Low ignition temperature means it will catch fire immediately. So ignition temperature is the temperature at which a fuel catches fire. And now what are the properties of a good fuel? A good fuel should be cheap and easily available. It should be easily stored and transported. Then, as I told you, the fuel should have high calorific value. If the fuel is having high calorific value, its efficiency will be more. It will not produce much smoke and pollution. Okay. Then it should produce very small amount of residue like ash. It should not cause pollution on burning. So these are the properties of a good fuel. And can you tell me, children, that which can be the best fuel among all these? A good fuel, the best fuel among all these, that is like for LPG, petrol, alcohol, when you burn kerosene, wood, all these are combustible material. So among all these fuel, the best fuel is the CNG. Again, there is CNG. You will find out the full form of CNG. Okay, so CNG is considered as an ideal fuel. There is no other fuel which can be considered better than the CNG. That is why nowadays we all prefer for CNG. You must have heard that the auto rickshaws, tempos, most of the vehicles, they all use CNG. Why? Because it is an ideal fuel. It does not cause pollution and all. So with this, we'll wind up for today. The rest will continue in the next class. Thank you and be safe, children.